everyone. Is there anyone here?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll just have to wait till people come.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
I'll tweet out that I'm streaming because
Yeah.
I should have
I
done
already
that.
tweeted this out. And let me YouTube.
Right.
Let's also share it on
Yeah, I got distracted from doing PR because I had to make a video making fun of Estonia.
That's just like too easy crap. Really easy crap.
Yeah, I put the Estonian flag over Tom Green jerking off a horse.
Yeah.
Why is it saying?
Yeah. Do we have anyone here yet? Oh, we have one person here, and
Well, that's me.
Okay. So we'll just not say anything. I guess we'll we'll wait. I guess. Do we wait?
We should share all the Harry Potter stuff, and everyone's gonna miss it right now.
Exactly. We're gonna share
All of Matt's knowledge.
Yeah, I know way too much about Harry Potter. It's like for something I fucking hate.
Nomo's here, so
hello, Nomo Papo. How are you doing?
So we're okay.
Yeah, now we have one person.
Oh, can you telegram me like the link to share to this thing? Is that a different link than you gave me to join up? Like,
yeah, it's different. It's the YouTube.
Definitely do not give them the link to join.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this in the private chat here. Copy.
No more Papo said, yeah.
No, so telegram me the share link for the YouTube thing because like the chat doesn't work on my laptop for some reason.
I don't have your telegram.
I have this. Okay, so we have two watching. Two actually, no, we don't have two watching because that one is me. Okay. Hi Rama, I forgot to copy. Here. Hi Rama.
I need to just.
Now we have 3 watching, but it could be just 2. It could just be 2 of us could.
All right. Now, come on. All right. We're just getting ready here. Well, we're starting in a minute.
Yeah. You can watch us start up.
All right, someone has our volume on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll turn it off.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now I just somehow did my keyboard give out on me? Let me turn it off and on. Okay, I shared that, Matt.
All right, excellent.
Okay. Okay, we have. I hope we have somebody other than just Matt and us here.
Okay. Oh yeah, just me.
All right, hello. I'm ready. I got the Twitter thing all set up. But, so what are we discussing today?
Okay. Where do we begin? The first is announcements. We have a new producer at Historically.
That's me.
Yep, he's gonna be
got a Battlefield promotion 30 seconds after I woke up. Fun day.
Exactly.
Didn't even reach for my amphetamines and it happened. So
yeah.
I love moving on up in the world.
Is producing moving on up? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's better than nothing, which is what I was doing before.
Yeah.
It gave me an excuse to get my studio set back up because I was an audio engineer before the plague hit. So
nice, though. Well, that gives you something to do, keep you busy, keep you out of trouble.
Well, I mean, this is like literally what I used to do before the COVID set in. So
yeah. I do the producing, but not, I don't have all the audio skills. I'm better.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know how to do any video stuff really. Like I can edit.
I'm better at video,
So
and you're
both
better.
of you together are the perfect editor. Like it's like
Like the one producer.
yeah.
Yeah,
If we collaborate.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to do live video. I can edit like clips together. That's about it. Like.
Yeah. I mean, producing for the live stuff is not too hard. When you have like OBS, like now with the Melon and stuff, it's been easy.
Oh yeah, with the Streamlabs, it's a nightmare because you have to do so much.
That was so crazy. That was like you had to be like, dude, I'm doing like so many things. Yeah. But yeah. So what are we gonna discuss today?
Oh, okay. So first thing we'll discuss is France. So Matt, do you have something to say about Macron?
Oh, well, yeah, no, he's running around pretending like he can put on his big boy pants, like trying to cut deals with China.
Okay, speaking of big boy pants, let's look at what Putin had said to him the other like last year about his big boy pants.
Do you want me to share it?
I can share it.
Oh, okay. Big boy pants.
Okay, so what did Putin say?
Это плохая песочница. Нам такая игра не нравится. Это плохая песочница. Нам такая игра не нравится.
So he said, "You're a bad sandbox." He said you're a bad sandbox. Wait, no, what did he say?
This is bad sandbox. We don't play this way.
Yeah, this is what Putin said to Macron. So he's basically telling the puppy not to shit on the sandbox.
Yeah.
Your mic closer to you, Esha.
Okay, so he's telling the puppy not to shit on the sandbox.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
No, I love that because like he sounds like a U.S. stereotype of a Russian trying to speak English while speaking Russian. Like, this bad sandbox, we don't play this way.
Yeah.
Which, like, by the way, like, there's like a couple ways you could actually like interpret that, like, depending on how dark you want to get with it. He's either telling Macron to not shit in the sandbox, or like it's a really cryptic way of saying like I'm going to bury you in the desert.
What was Macron today? So Macron, what was it over the weekend?
China.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks like Macron is trying to align more with China after the U.S. Blew up the pipeline carrying all the Russian oil, and like everybody's using the USD for their reserve currency at a time when like the US like just a couple years ago printed like $3 trillion worth of currency and dumped it into the financial market for no reason. So like, do you think that has something to do with the inflation and why people might suddenly want to drop the dollar as the reserve currency?
Well,
like,
the biggest reason
my boy rap game Edward Bernays pointed that out. Like, I didn't even think about that until like yesterday. I want to give him credit for that. So follow him.
Is your mic even on? Because I feel like your audio's
my microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, it sounds like you're like recording like through like your internal microphone.
Hello out there.
Okay, hello? That sounds much better.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, that's.
There we go.
I had the wrong microphone on. I had this microphone on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Macron, like, United States is not going to be happy with.
Well, no, that's what everybody's saying is that like so like as he's publicly like leaning towards China for various reasons, as like what people are saying is like they're expecting him to go silent for a couple of days and then come back making a speech like a apologizing for having a spine for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I see like a lot of these moves being made though. Like
Well, you know what's really funny? So China suddenly started to sell France some gas. Uh, and guess where that gas comes from?
Russia.
Yeah, so China is just getting like a markup, they're getting like just like a like it's like a self-sanction where you just give China some extra hard currency. I don't know how it works.
Did your mic turn back off again? Because
I know. Yeah, I don't know what's going.
Hello? Okay, let's try this again.
All right. Yeah, I feel like it's going through your computer and not through the mic or something.
Yeah. Can you like talk so we can like hear?
Ooh, now she's me. Now you don't hear you.
Nope, no audio.
It's gonna be one of those days. Everything was going crazy today.
Okay, is this better now?
Keep talking.
Hello out there from.
Awesome.
Okay.
Keep that up. Yeah.
Okay, so weird. My microphone is not working.
Well, it sounds great now.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like you're like right in my ear, which is perfect.
Right in your ear.
We're not doing ASMR. Like that doesn't work for me like electronically.
Tell Matt what to say. All right. So anyhow, we were bringing up France because our first piece is
the voice of an honest French socialist.
Can you share that in the chat, please?
I'm putting it in. Oh, you want it in the chat here?
Mm-hmm. Okay. No. In. Yeah. Yes, I made a mistake. I'm sorry about this. We'll fix the title later.
I think that works. Oh, you know what? I'm like in his left side chat, so I'm hoping that works. Sometimes it doesn't link. Okay. So we're reading The Voice of an Honest French Socialist. Do you want to read, Matt, or does you want to read?
My allergy meds are still kicking in, and like my eyes are like half swollen shut right now.
Okay. So. What do you think, Ashley? You want to read? You want me to read?
Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at the Russian just quickly. You read while I look at the Russian because Lenin is funnier in Russian. So in Russian, it's "Честный голос французского социалиста."
What does that translate to?
Honest voice of a French socialist.
Okay. So this was written in 1915, and in French-speaking Switzerland, where Francophile chauvinism is raging with only a little less intensity than in France, the voice of an honest socialist has been heard. In our despicable times, this is quite an event. We must pay all the more attention to the voice because, in this instance, we have here to do with a socialist of typically French, or rather Romance, because of the Italians, for instance, are the same, temperament and frame of mind. We are referring.
Hold on, wait a minute. This feels like it got lost in translation somewhere from.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Hold on. Okay. Hold on. It got really lost in translation. Let me just.
There's something to do with the Romance languages, but I don't know.
Hold on.
Going from
French.
Latin,
okay.
Yeah. From like
укрепление капиталистов строя. Oh, wait. I know. Okay. Wait.
Okay. What was the last thing that we read?
Hold on. I'm still checking something. In French-speaking Switzerland. Okay. I see what happened. Okay. Okay. I see now. Во французской... Okay, I was in the wrong place. So, во французской Швейцарии, где франкофильский шовинизм бешенствует, немного разве слабее, he means more, слабее means relaxed, чем во Франции, раздался голос честного социалиста. Okay, now I'm ready.
Okay. All right. We are referring to a little pamphlet by Paul Gaulet, the editor of a minor socialist paper published in. It was.
Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
It was in that city that on March 11th, 1915, the author delivered a lecture on the subject, The Socialism That Is Dying and the Socialism That Must Be Reborn, the contents of which he later published separately. On August 1st, 1914, war broke out. During the weeks preceding this now famous date and after it, millions of people were waiting.
For what?
It begins. Millions of people were waiting, he says.
Waiting for what?
To see whether the resolutions and the declarations of the leaders of socialism would not lead to a mighty uprising whose whirlwind would sweep away the criminal governments. However, the expectations of millions were thwarted. We attempted, said Gaulet.
Wait, in Russian it says he was cheated, обманутый, but whatever, okay.
Cheated, thwarted.
Okay.
Yeah, stopped. Anyways, cheated would be more like
Screwed.
taken away.
Screwed.
Yeah, they got screwed, I guess. Yeah, so we attempted, says Gaulet, in a comradely fashion to exonerate the socialists by referring to the lightning suddenness of the war and to lack of information. But these excuses did not satisfy us. We felt ill at ease, as if our conscience were steeped in the filthy waters of equivocation and lies.
Okay, in Russian it's called, he wrote like two-faced, two minds, and lies.
Yeah, two-faced.
Yeah.
Yeah, equivocation works there too.
I know, but it's funnier in Russian usually, I noticed. Okay.
From this, the reader will have concluded that Gaulet is sincere, a quality almost extraordinary in our times. Gaulet recalls the revolutionary traditions of the proletariat, perfectly aware of the fact that for each situation, fitting action is required. He reminds us that for exceptional situations, exceptional measures are necessary. Aux grands les grands remedy. Okay. He recalls Congress decision.
Wait. Okay, in Russian, I'm sorry if I'm annoying people. Okay, in Russian, Lenin wrote "Silnaya болезни, сильнее лекарства." It meaning stronger the illness, the stronger the medicine.
Oh, that's what it says in French.
That's what it says in French.
Ah, okay.
Grands mo. So yeah, the stronger the
remedy, medicine.
Well, the illness is the mo.
Yeah, the grander the illness, the grander the remedy.
Okay. He recalls Congress decisions addressed directly to the masses and urging them to start revolutionary and insurrectionary action. There comes excerpts from the Stuttgart and Basel resolutions. The author emphasizes that these various resolutions do not contain any argument as to the defensive or offensive war. Consequently, they do not propose any special nationalist tactics to supersede the generally accepted fundamental principles.
Mm-hmm.
After reading this, the reader sees that Gaulet is not only a sincere socialist, also an honest, convinced socialist, a quality quite exceptional among leaders of the Second International.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. The proletariat was congratulated by military commanders, and the bourgeois press warmly praised the resurrection of what is called the soul of the nation. This resurrection has cost us 3 million corpses.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, never has a workers' organization had such a large number of dues-paying members. Never has there been such an abundance of parliamentarians, such a splendidly organized press, and never has there been a more hideous cause against which one should have risen up. In these circumstances so tragic, when the lives of millions are at stake, all revolutionary actions are not only permissible but legitimate. I just want to say, like, what I'm reading right now is actually what Gole wrote. So
Yeah. This is still a quote. Yeah.
it's not what
Lenin thinks.
but legitimate. They are more than legitimate. They are
Sacred.
Sacred.
The imperative duty of the proletariat demanded an attempt to achieve the impossible so as to save our generation from events which are turning Europe into shambles.
Oh, no. Actually, okay, so in Russian, it says "Katori zaливают кровью Europe," as in, like, he says bloodbath, right? Like, basically, like, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so here's going to be my first act as producer of Historically. You stop with the what Lenin actually said in Russian for right now, so we can get through these pieces. And in the future, you can do your own translations, and we'll read those.
There have been no energetic steps, no attempts at a revolt, nothing leading to an uprising. He's going to be a meaner producer than me.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, you realize I produce this show, right?
She's the producer of this show. You're the producer of Historically.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. This is just my input. Take my executive note as you will. Ignore it if you want.
Okay, Janet, do you agree with Matt on the not correcting Russian translations?
In some cases, you should do them. Yes.
Okay.
But you don't have to do them every time. But I mean, if it's close enough, then you don't.
Okay. I will. Okay.
I think no. Honestly, I think from what I'm hearing, like, I actually mean that as like a legitimate suggestion, because it sounds like Esther would do a better job translating it than these Marxist.
Oh yeah. No, Esther definitely should She was actually doing that at one point when we started the show.
There was two spots where there were two paragraphs. Okay, so what happened was that with, like, Stalin's dialectical and hysterical materialism, like, they had therefore 4 times.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like Stalin actually wrote therefore 4 times. So then I checked it, and he did not write therefore 4 times.
No, the Marxist.org, they're trots, so they translate Stalin pretty clunky.
Yeah, he definitely did not write therefore. So then that's when I changed the therefores to what he actually said.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we should actually be.
We should plan out the articles, like, a little bit better in the future.
Yeah.
We could just, like, make corrections or, like, redo the whole thing.
Yeah, especially I only want to do it if it's like really okay. So in Russian, the thing is that because you can have, like, because they have cases and declinations, you can have extremely long sentences where like with like Janet, like, and the word order doesn't matter. And so in English, you often need to break down those really long sentences because word order really matters and it's confusing.
Yeah. Syntax is very important in English, but not so much in Russian, where it
you can literally do whatever word order. Like, in fact, my Russian teacher always, like, says that I have to emphasize the most important thing. So if you want to say Zelensky is Zelensky's biggest role is as today president is Zelensky. Being president is Zelensky's biggest role as comic, like, biggest comedic role. I would say, президентом самая главная роль Зеленская как комиком. But then I could also say, как комиком Зеленского самая главная роль президентом является. And so, and then I changed the word order, but I didn't change the meaning at all.
So it doesn't have like a slightly different, like is one more proper or is one more?
No, it's all about emphasis. So if you want to emphasis that as a comic, you would say как комиком самая главная роль Зеленского является президентом. Oh my God, it's
That's got to be really useful for jokes.
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Well, like if you can change the syntax of a given statement to emphasize what's more important in the sentence, be it the subject or the object, like you can give jokes like different rhythms and like edit them more freely than you can in English or
That's why
German.
Zelensky's honest to God, Zelensky's a very good comedian. When you watch, like, I laugh hysterically each time I watch his shows.
Oh no! And he was a funny guy. Like
he's a great comedian.
Yeah, in the
Kvartal 95.
In Ukraine's own currency, he's a fucking billionaire. Like off his comedy. Like
no, he's a good comedian. He's a very good comedian. Like I think American comedians could learn from him how to be funny.
He's still a fucking clown. Like I mean, you can tell.
Yeah.
But this would be a good time. So in the audience, if you're listening and you think there's good like feedback that you want to give, because we'll take a look.
You can tell we're communists because we're doing like all the creative like discussions right out in the open.
Yeah.
But like we're gonna hopefully swing back to Dimitrov for a few weeks next week. MJ was just sick.
Yeah.
So.
But then there's a chance I might be going to the Donbass area, so we'll have to figure out. Maybe you guys can do it without me when I'm in. I don't know when I'm going to Donbass, but when I am, it might be hard in the war zone.
Yeah. So we'll figure all that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do definitely. Esha is in Russia to do some more like teach us really what is being said. I guess. Like,
yeah, no. I mean, you just have to assume everything coming out of the U.S. press about Russia is just one big lie. Like, there's not even like an ounce of truth to anything.
Yeah, well, I mean that's true of literally anything you hear in the U.S. press.
Yeah.
The capitalist system does not lie some of the time; it lies all the time.
Oh, and then he said
if it tells you the truth, it's because they lied twice.
Yep, that's Kwame Ture. That's so good. Mm-hmm. I also got myself an ADHD bottle. Okay, I didn't get myself, but somebody gifted me an ADHD bottle.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Because it's working so well right now. I'm kidding.
No, it'll tell you how much water to drink at each hour.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you drink your water. Okay. You need to drink your water. So, yeah. See? All right. So we're still on the pamphlet. And these
Wait, what did you think a ADHD bottle was?
I don't know. Like it was like
usually it's filled with amphetamines. not just H2O.
Something that made you not have ADHD, but I guess not having ADHD about drinking water is a good thing. So. All right, so here we're still in the pamphlet, and these are still Golay's words. Okay?
Sorry.
Our opponents cry out about the collapse of socialism. They are too hasty. Still, who will dare assert that they are wrong in all respects? What is dying at this hour is not socialism in general, but a brand of socialism. A saccharine socialism.
Saccharin is the pretty much the world's first artificial sweetener. It's something like 50 times sweeter than natural.
Yeah, no, I remember saccharin, but I didn't know it was that old. That
yeah,
I don't think so. No, because Lenin used Lenin used Sladienki socialism. So he I don't think he uses the word saccharin. Let me just make sure. He said it's sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet and fake.
Yeah, and without a soul.
Yeah, that's saccharin.
Exactly.
That's a good translation.
Of idealism and without passion.
Yes.
With the manners of a governmental office holder and with the paunch of a respectable paterfamilias.
No. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Can I? Okay. So yeah, he says with the serious brochure of of a father of a family.
Yeah, father rant. So pater is male,
Yeah.
right?
Didn't we just have like a whole like 30-minute aside about how like we were going to save this like for the future and we were just going to power through this one?
Yeah. Oops, I forgot.
That ADHD bottle is not working.
we got 3 sentences in before we ended up back where we started.
All right. A socialism without audacity or frenzy, a devotee of statistics up to its neck in amicable agreements with capitalism. A socialism preoccupied only with reforms. A socialism that has sold its birthright for a mess of pottage. A socialism that controls people's impatience in order to aid the bourgeoisie. A sort of automatic brake on audacious proletarian action. This socialism, which threatens to contaminate the entire international, that's the capital international,
Yeah.
is in certain measure responsible for the impotence we are reproached with.
Whoa! Lenin just called everybody broke dick MFs on Maine.
No, that's Golay.
Oh no, that was Golay. Wow, he's like really swinging it out there.
Yeah. No. See the quotation. That's not Lenin. That's Golay.
Yeah, that was Golay. Never mind. Sorry.
And now here's Lenin. Elsewhere in the pamphlet, Golay is outspoken about reformist socialism and opportunism as a distortion of socialism. In referring to that distortion, recognizing the general responsibility of the proletariat in all the belligerent countries, and emphasizing that this responsibility falls on the heads of the leaders whom the masses trusted and from whom they expected a slogan. Golay correctly takes as an example German socialism, which was the best organized, best formed, and most indoctrinated, to show its numerical strength and its revolutionary feebleness.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to Golay's pamphlet. Inspired with revolutionary fervor, German social democracy could have confronted militarist undertakings with a resistance sufficiently definite and stubborn to make the proletariat of the other countries of Central Europe follow it on this, the only road to salvation. German socialism enjoyed great influence in the international. It could have done more than all other parties. The greatest effort was expected of it. But numbers are nothing if individual energy is paralyzed by too rigorous discipline and if the leaders utilize their influence to achieve the least effort. I'm sorry, I have to get a little closer. Much as the second part of the sentence incorrect, much of the second part of the sentence is correct. The first is wrong. Discipline is a splendid and necessary thing. For instance, the discipline of a party that expels opportunist opponents of revolutionary act.
Yep.
The German proletariat, owing to its responsible leaders, obey the call of the military camarilla.
Camarilla. I don't know what it means.
Either.
Can you look that word up, somebody?
Let me military. Let me just
CAMARILLA.
Yeah, I am not reading the English version. I'm kind
All
of
of
listening.
the military.
Oh, Camarilla.
Yeah. That's gonna be a Spanish word, right?
Yeah, like that's a really interesting.
Room.
Obey the call.
Camarilla. Okay,
Yeah.
a group of unofficial, often secret and scheming advisors. Also a cabal. Why didn't you just go with cabal? That's so much better.
I know.
A resistance group has sprung up and is plotting to overthrow the tyrant leader and his camarilla. Okay, just say cabal. Just like Jesus.
Okay, well, let me look up what the word means in Russian because Lenin maybe he used the word cabal in Russian. The word he used is kamarili, which
Yeah.
means
Okay. Wow, that's
Yeah.
Camarilla. It's
So,
like
so basically a cabal.
Mhm.
The other sections of the International took fright and acted likewise. In France, two socialists found it necessary to join bourgeois government. Thus, several months after the solemn declaration at a Congress that socialists considered it a crime to shoot at each other, millions of workers were called to the colors and began to commit that crime with a persistency and a zeal which won them repeated tribute from the capitalist bourgeoisie and governments. So they're saying he's saying what the socialists fought, went to fight in the war.
yeah, and the idea was that they should not. I mean, that's what the Baseball Declaration said, is that they were not going to participate in bourgeoisie wars over colonies because that's not cool.
Yeah.
But then white people betrayed the Second International.
Yep. All right.
So basically, the betrayal of the Second International fell this way: Western European socialists betrayed it; the rest of the world maintained it. So definitely white people.
All right. All right. Back to Lenin. Gaulle, however, does not confine himself to mercilessly branding the socialism that is dying. He also manifests a full understanding of the cause of that dying and the kind of socialism that should supersede the dying one. The working masses in every country, he writes, submit in some measure to the influence of ideas current in bourgeois circles. When, under the name of revisionism, Bernstein formulated a kind of democratic reformism, he writes, Kautsky shattered him with the aid of relevant facts. But when appearances had been preserved, the party nevertheless continued its real politic. The Social Democratic Party became what it is today. An excellent organization, a powerful body from which the soul has gone. Not only German social democracy, but all sections of the International reveal that the same tendencies. The growing number of officials leads to certain consequences. Attention is focused only on the regular payment of membership dues. Strikes are looked upon as manifestations aiming at securing better conditions of agreement with the capitalist. It becomes customary to link the interests of the workers with those of the capitalists. To subordinate the fate of the workers to that of capitalism itself. To wish an intensive development of one's own national industry to the detriment of foreign industry.
Mm-hmm. This is how the CIA kind of worked.
In one of his articles, R. Schmid, a Reichstag deputy, says the regulation of working conditions by the trade unions is also advantageous to the capitalists, since it introduces order and stability in economic life, and since it makes the capitalists' calculations easier and counteracts unfair competition. In quoting these words, Gaulle exclaims, now back to Gaulle, it appears that the trade union movement must consider it an honor to make the capitalist profits more stable.
AFL, like this literally is how the AFL-CIO thinks.
It is apparently the aim of socialism to demand, within the framework of capitalist society, the maximum of advantages compatible with the existence of the capitalist system itself. In that case, we have here a reunification of all principles, or reunification.
Wait, how do you spell that?
remuneration.
a renunciation.
Renunciation.
Renunciation. Okay.
Enunciation.
Okay, renunciate. Okay, I get it now. Okay, sorry. I just didn't know what renunciate.
Proletariat. I'm sorry, I have my allergy eyes going too. So
Okay.
Yeah, no, but I don't know like what they planted out front, but like it doesn't make me congested, but it does make my eyeballs grow spikes.
By
Like
the way,
I can hear myself blink. I swear to God.
what?
Okay. So it's getting nighttime is coming later and later. So like right now it's 7:41 and it's like bright outside. Let me see if I can twist it. See, bright, sunny outside. I hope I didn't like endanger myself or something like that by showing outside my window. So I feel like it's going to be less and less like nighttime as we go along.
Yeah.
Until there's no night in June.
You'll have no night.
Yeah.
You'll have white nights.
Yes, it's literally called Bili Noch, which means white night.
Yeah.
Wow.
I knew that from the movie in the 80s.
In the winter, it's the opposite because in December, the sun doesn't come till 10 and it goes down at 4.
Yeah. Now I feel like the need to watch that Christopher Nolan movie, Insomnia. Anybody ever see that?
No.
It's Al Pacino and Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Pacino plays a detective who goes to investigate a crime out in Alaska, and like Robin Williams is the murderer, and the sun never sets, and he starts to go like slowly insane.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I think it's actually like that's my favorite Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah. Yipper99 says that's mental. Well, it really messes with me because I actually look out the window to see whether I want to sleep more or wake up. And then like in the winter time, I'm like 8 o'clock. Oh, I'm going to sleep more. And then now it's like 5 o'clock and it's like, oh, sun is out here. So I need to learn how to not do that.
Well, you do that inside lighting. You can just change it inside lighting.
How?
Like I said, blackout shades. Just get blackout shades.
Yeah, everyone's been suggesting I get blackout shades.
It's because it's a good idea and it works.
It does work.
Yeah. Very little is further north than Gorod Lenina, Lenin City, Leningrad. Basically, it's just like Lapland is the only thing that's norther than this, and in the North Pole.
All right, so we're still on Goulet. The proletariat strives not to consolidate the capitalist regime, not to obtain minimal conditions for hired labor, but to eliminate the system of private property and to destroy the system of hired labor. The secretaries of large organizations become important personages in the political movement. Deputies, men of letters, scientists, lawyers, all those who, together with their science, bring with themselves certain personal ambitions, wield an influence which is at times dangerous. The powerful organization of the trade unions and their substantial treasuries have developed a corporative spirit among their members. One of the negative aspects of the trade union movement, which is reformist in essence, is that the condition of various categories of wage workers is improved by placing one above the other. This destroys their fundamental unity and creates among the most favored an apprehension which compels them sometimes to fear a movement that might undermine their condition, their treasury, and their balance sheet. Thus, a certain division between the various categories of the proletariat comes into existence, categories artificially created by the trade union movement itself. Okay. But I'm so basically, like the trade unions, like, I feel like this has all to do with FDR gave a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we can see this with what's her name, Randy Weinstein, and her support of Ukraine, and the teachers, like how she so. I mean, we see that every trade union in the U.S. does this, where the leaders just kind of sometimes get concessions, but then. And it's most obvious with AFL-CIO, where they were literally supporting Pinochet against Allende. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like that whole thing. Like that was one of what is it? Otto von Bismarck. His famous thing was to give little concessions to the people to keep them quiet.
Oh yeah, speaking of Otto von Bismarck, Rokana and his Bismarckian socialism.
Bismarckian.
Like he was like praising Otto. Like I was like, who does that?
I didn't
Yeah.
see that. He actually praised it.
Yeah. He had a tweet a few months ago where he said we should look at examples. Like I forgot the first one. I just remember he said Otto von Bismarck.
Yeah, I've seen like some like baby people like post things like where they like actually like consider like Bernstein like to be like a socialist example because like they saw on Wikipedia that he is a quote unquote socialist basically.
It's I mean, it's crazy because like you ask people, oh, like you don't know the history of what led up to Hitler, say, and you say this to them, and then so they're thinking that, oh, well then you must mean like the Weimar Republic was good, like or something like that. You know?
Yeah, no.
No. That was the lead up to what you got.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so back to Lenin. This, of course, is no argument against strong organizations, says the author. Obviously, to counter arguments from a certain kind of critic. This, he says, only proves that organizations must have a soul, must have enthusiasm. What are the chief characteristics that must distinguish the socialism of tomorrow? It will be international, intransigent. Why can't I say that word?
Intransigent.
Intransigent.
Okay, by the way, I got up the English on this phone and the Russian. English on my American phone and Russian on the Russian phone.
There we go.
So now I'll be less annoying.
Intransigence is a force, Gole says with good reason, inviting the reader to cast a glance at the history of doctrines. When did they exercise an influence? When they were tamed by the authorities, or when they remained intransigent. Why can't I say that?
There you go. You just said it right.
Intransigent. It means unmoving, right?
Yeah. I know what the word means. I just can't say it. When did Christianity lose its value? Okay. Was it not on the day Constantine promised its revenues and offered it not persecution and executions, but the gold-braided vestments of court servants? So what is that? He's trying to say, like,
so yeah, Christianity moved from like when Jesus was around, it was like very pro poor people. Like Jesus literally said, "You're using slaves and you're gonna burn in hell for this." Like, so it moved from that when Constantine adapted as a state religion to like what it is now.
Yeah. A French.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me answer this. Okay. Lenin did not meet Hitler. Yes, Lenin was living in Munich for a long time when he was kicked out from Russia, and maybe Hitler was living in Munich, but it's like unless like they accidentally like crossed each other in the grocery store, like there is no meeting of Lenin and Hitler on record ever.
Plus, like,
and we know this because Lenin would have personally shot Hitler if he had met him.
But isn't Hitler like 20 years younger too, or something?
What year was Hitler born? Can somebody check that?
1893, I think.
Yeah, he is 20 years younger than Lenin. Okay, yeah. Lenin would have totally snuffed baby Hitler too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wouldn't he?
I don't necessarily know if like Lenin would just like see a baby and kill it. Like, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say like it's just not a normal thing people do.
No, Lenin actually loved children. You can see like the way he looks at so there's a thing where he writes a letter to the youth council, like the youth wing, and then they say something really stupid, but then he edits what they said and reinterprets it to actually sound smarter, and then he's really nice to children.
There was actually tweets from the alt-right people, the right-wing people, putting up like, when you call me a Nazi, you're calling this person a Nazi, and they have a picture of themselves when they're like 4 or 5.
Yes, you're a Nazi.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I'm
like,
I think I think it's Meghan McCain's husband, Ben Dreyfuss. I'm correct me if I'm wrong. If Ben Dreyfuss, it's a different Gusano. That's whose name is also Ben, who's Meghan McCain's husband. So this is probably not Meghan McCain's husband. Anyways, he's like, just because you like to collect Nazi memorabilia does not make you a Nazi. And it's like, why else would you want to?
Did Ben Dreyfuss say that?
Yeah.
That's Richard Dreyfuss's kid, I think.
Who's Richard Dreyfuss?
He's an actor. He was in Jaws and Close Encounters.
Oh, that Richard. Yeah. Okay. And I'm like, why else would you want a Hitler statue?
Yeah, because that's the guy that who's the one that has the Hitler stuff, the one that was giving funding to
Clarence Thomas. His name's Harlan Crow.
Yeah, so that's why that was coming up. But yeah, people going like, oh yeah, that's fine. You can why?
Yeah. I'm collecting Nazi and Hitler memorabilia, so everyone knows how much I don't like it.
Yeah, okay. So Renatus Primus says, you grossly underestimate American financiers who would fund their pawn for their own agenda. Go ahead and time travel to baby Hitler for eternity. You need to go after Prescott Bush, monarchies, etc. And he is absolutely right. We need to. It's baby IG Farben that you need to kill.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Take down the baby corporations.
Yeah.
So we're back to Lenin. This is still a quote from, he's quoting Goulet. A French philosopher has said, dead ideas are those that appear in elegant garments with no austerity or daring. They are dead because they are put into general circulation and become part of the ordinary intellectual baggage of the great army of Philistines. Strong ideas are those that shock and scandalize, evoke indignation, anger, and animosity in some, and enthusiasm in others. The author finds it necessary to call this truth to the minds of present-day socialists, among whom he very often finds an absence of any kind of ardent convictions. They believe in nothing, he says, neither in reforms that are belated nor in revolution that has not yet arrived. Intransigence, a readiness for rebellion, the author says, lead not to dreaminess, but to action. A socialist will neglect no form of action. He will find new ones according to the demands and the circumstances of the moment. He demands immediate reforms. He gets them not by bickering with the opponent, but he takes them by force, as a concession by the bourgeoisie, intimidated by the enthusiasm and audacity of the masses. After the most barefaced vulgarizing of Marxism and degrading of socialism by Plekhanov, Kautsky, and company, Goulet's pamphlet is really refreshing. However, the two following shortcomings must be noted. First, Goulet, in common with most socialists in the Romance countries, not excluding the present-day Guestis.
I can't do it. It's French people.
Yeah. Pays insufficient attention to doctrine, i.e., to the theory of socialism. He has a certain prejudice against Marxism, which can be explained, though not justified, by the present prevalence of the most vicious caricature of Marxism in the writings of Kautsky.
I kind of guessed that he would totally, Lenin would never give up an opportunity to insult Kautsky.
Except for early on when he liked Kautsky.
Well, no, there were early on, like before the war, Kautsky was good at like explaining economics. Yeah, there was like in the agricultural documents, like Lenin is
Yeah.
it's like so weird seeing that, and then you see that, and then he writes 4 books about how much he hates Kautsky and how much Kautsky sucks.
Yep.
And among the Germans in general, a man like Gaulle, who has recognized the necessity of the death of reformist socialism and the revival of revolutionary rebellious socialism, i.e., one who understands the necessity of an uprising, who advocates it, and is capable of seriously preparing himself and others for it, is indeed 1,000 times closer to Marxism than those gentlemen who know the tests by heart, but are now busy, for instance, in Die Neue Zeit, justifying social chauvinism of every kind, including that which says that one must at present make peace with the chauvinist Vorstand and forget the past. I kind of like so he's saying like this guy in his heart, he thinks, he's viewing Marxism through Kautsky so that he's getting it wrong. So he thinks that he's away from Marxism, but he is more of a Marxist because he does believe in the real Marxism, not this like kind of watered down version that would lead to, reforms and stuff like that, instead of just taking what we
Right.
Much as Gaulet's disdain for Marxism is explainable, and much as he can be cleared of the blame, which can be placed on the moribund or dead trend of the French Marxist Guzdists. So Guz,
I can't pronounce that either.
it's with an E, right?
Gilsdists, maybe. Gilsdists.
No, but he's a philosopher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gilsdists.
I
don't know. I think with French you have to always
Guedis,
pretend like you're vomiting.
Guedis.
Yeah, well, I think every French word, like you pronounce it right, you have to always pretend like you're vomiting, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, you could just call them French Marxists.
French Marxists. The blame is still there. The world's greatest movement for liberation of the oppressed class and the most revolutionary class in history is impossible without a revolutionary theory. That theory cannot be thought up. It grows out of the sum total of the revolutionary experience of the revolutionary thinking of all the countries in the world. Such a theory has developed since the second half of the 19th century. It is known as Marxism. One cannot be a socialist, a revolutionary social democrat, without participating in the measure of one's power. Level of one's powers in developing and applying that theory, and without waging a ruthless struggle today against the mutilation of this theory by Plekhanov, Kautsky, and company. Inattention to theory has led Gaulle to make a number of erroneous or hasty attacks against, for instance, centralism or discipline in general, or against historical materialism, which the author alleges is not sufficiently idealistic, etc. Hence, also a remarkable lack of completeness in the question of slogans. For instance, the demand that socialism should become rebellious is full of profound content and is the sole correct thought, without which all talk about internationalism, the revolutionary spirit, and Marxism is sheer stupidity. And as often as not, hypocrisy. However, this idea that a civil war should have been developed and made the pivot of tactics, whereas Gaulle confines himself to stating it, this is a lot for our days. This is a lot for our days, but it is insufficient from the standpoint of the demands of the proletariat's revolutionary struggle. For instance, Gaulle's treatment of the problem of revolution as a reply to war is, if one may put it so, far too narrow. He fails to consider the fact that though a revolutionary reply to the war has not been given, yet the war itself has begun to teach, and it's teaching the masses the lessons of revolution by creating a revolutionary situation and by expanding and deepening it. Goulet's second shortcoming is best illustrated by the following argument in his pamphlet. Can I just go back to one thing? Like around the world, like I know, like America didn't get into World War I right away, right?
No, they did. Okay, so let me explain. So, for example, the first thing they did was in 1914 they went. So Haiti was a German colony, so they went in and went boom and grabbed all the German colonies, and then they participated in the blockade of German ships that kind of created a mass famine and starvation in Germany. So they were kind of there, but not. Like they didn't get the boots on the ground, but they were participating as allies of the British and French since like before day one.
Okay, so but what was the response in non-Western countries of the social movements?
Well, obviously, they wanted to not become. Remember, there were no non-Western countries since all of Africa and Asia were colonized by England, France, and by the Allies. So all of them. So for them, it was that they wanted. So the idea was that because World War I, as Lenin explains, it's a fight between the robbers in England and the robbers in Germany about who gets to rob Turkey of its oil.
Yeah.
Turkey.
We had a little bit of an anti-war thing going. I mean,
well, hold on. Let me explain. So at that point, what I have obviously if the proletarian in each of these countries were like, yep, we're not fighting, you guys, all these colonies would have been liberated, and all of world capitalism would have been destroyed. So in the U.S., yes, there was every country had a huge anti-war movement in the West also. But the problem is that people on the streets is different than people in the parliament. Like Kautsky was in the parliament, so he could vote on war credits and not vote on war credits. So the Socialist Party leaders betrayed the world.
Okay. That's what we're talking about. The leaders were the ones. So just much like the trade union leaders, screw the workers, the socialist Democrat leaders were screwing the socialists.
Exactly like what the Democratic Party did with the Iraq War.
Yeah, okay.
Or every other war.
Goulet's second shortcoming is best illustrated by the following argument in his pamphlet. We blame nobody. To be reborn, the international needs a fraternal spirit to animate the various sections. But it is permissible to affirm that in the sight of the great task placed before it by the capitalist bourgeoisie in July and August 1914, reformist centralist, and there's a question mark there, and hierarchical socialism cut a poor figure.
What does mean cut? Okay, never mind.
Okay. We blame nobody. This is where you are mistaken, comrade. Okay? You yourself had admitted that the socialism that is dying is tied up to the bourgeois ideas, which means that it is nurtured and supported by the bourgeoisie. To a certain ideological current in socialism, reformism, to the interest and the specific position of certain strata, parliamentarians, officials, intellectuals, some of the better off sections or groups of workers, etc. From this follows the inevitable conclusion, which you fail to draw. Individuals die what is called a natural death. Ideological and political trends, however, cannot die in that way. Just as the bourgeoisie will not die until it is overthrown, a trend nurtured and supported by the bourgeoisie in expressing the interests of a small group of intellectuals and members of the labor aristocracy and that have joined hands with the bourgeoisie will not die unless it is killed, i.e. overthrown, deprived of all influence on the social proletariat.
Okay, can I make a quick observation about the Russian language that I just noticed?
Sure.
Okay, so to be in Russian is beat. And okay, so then this is the good. Okay, so to go in Russian is ехать, if you're going by wheel transport. But if you want to leave a place, you say uyehat. If you add u as a suffix, it means to leave. So the word kill is ubit, as in you are making them exit from this world.
Make them die.
No, it's like exiting him from this world
Yeah.
is literally the word for die in Russian. So kill for Russian, actually.
Wow.
This trend is strong in its links with the bourgeoisie because of the objective conditions of the peaceful period of 1871 through 1914. It has become a kind of commanding parasitic stratum in the working class movement. In such conditions, it is our duty not only to blame but to wring the tocsin.
Okay, sorry, I made a mistake. Beat is to beat, so ubit is to beat them hard enough that they leave. To die is ubit. With the e. So I made a mistake for to die and to kill. Oops.
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 Yeah.
Die, kill, whatever.
Okay,
But
same thing.
bring the tocsin, ruthlessly unmask, overthrow, and oust this parasitic stratum from their post, and destroy their unity with the working class movement, because such unity means, in practice, unity of the proletariat with the national bourgeoisie. What the hell is that? Bourgeoisie in the split of the international proletariat, the unity of lackeys, and the split among the revolutionaries.
Oh yeah, so he's saying that basically, so one group wanted to unite the proletariats of the world, workers of the world unite, and the other group wanted to unite proletarians of like white countries with their own bourgeoisie.
Intransigence is a force, Goulet says with justice. He demands that the socialism that must be reborn should be intransigent. But is it not all the same to the bourgeoisie whether the proletariat practices reconciliation with it directly or indirectly through bourgeois adherents, defenders, and agents within the working class movement, i.e., through the opportunists? The latter is even more advantageous to the bourgeoisie because it secures for it a stronger influence over the workers. Goulet is 1,000 times right when he says that there is a socialism that is dying and a socialism that must be reborn. This death and this rebirth, however, comprise a ruthless struggle against the trend of opportunism, not merely an ideological struggle, but the removal of that hideous excrescence, excrement, I guess, from the body
Hold on.
class parties.
Yeah, he's definitely using a body like it's like an appendix or like some kind of
The
gross thing.
removal of that hideous excrescence
Yeah.
from the body of a working class parties. The expulsion from those organizations of certain representatives of this tactic, which is alien to the proletariat, a definite break with them. They will die neither physically nor politically, but the workers will break with them, will throw them into a cesspool of servitors of the bourgeoisie. The example of their corruption will educate a new generation, or more correctly, new proletarian armies capable of an uprising. God, I wish we were there.
Oh yeah. Well, oh my God, this is like so the funny thing is that when he talks about the socialism that's dying and socialism reborning, it reminds me of what Gramsci said, where he says like the old world is dying and the new world is struggling to be reborn. Now is the time
It's
for
the time
monsters.
of monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
I wonder if Gramsci got that idea from Lenin.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So basically, I know Matt picked this out because of the Macron stuff, but once again, this.
Well, I mean,
deeply into what's going on in
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there is this. Okay, so it's not quite socialism, but definitely there is a old world that is dying and a new world that's struggling to be born. The old world that's dying is the U.S. New liberal, whatever, international rules based order or whatever bullshit they like, and the new world is the one where there's Iran, China, India, whatever, BRICS, whatever, all
Yeah.
these. So last week, for example, Dilma Rousseff just decided to be the head of the BRICS Bank. So this is like BRICS plus some other countries that want to be part of BRICS is going to be the new world.
Yeah.
And I forgot how it's. Oh, well, so what Macron is doing is what is he doing now? He's trying to like. What is he doing?
He's
Really?
he's trying to cozy up to China because, like, I mean, you can see the writing on the wall. Like, the world is like pretty much currently backed by the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency, and that's going away. So, like, basically, Bretton Woods is over.
Yeah, and Ashley, I don't know if you mentioned this because I, for one second, just was looking at something. But didn't the BRICS just exceed G7, right?
Oh yeah, they did.
Oh, all right. So you didn't say that. Yeah. So that just happened like within the last few months, right? So, you're looking at the writing on the wall, and I mean, if their their economies are better than the G7 economies, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's over.
Yeah. I mean, well, and then there's another thing is like, okay, so you get a lot of concern trolling from the West saying that, oh, China's fake news, I mean, imperialism in Africa. And first you have to look how many people have their hands because of China's imperialism. And that's what, like, I mean, literally, like, I've seen economists say that it's worse than what the West did. And I'm like, no, everyone in Africa has their hands after China is there. That's not something that you can say with the West, right?
Right.
And China's not forcing them to do mining for them to get, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
There's no rubber quota here.
Exactly. So, but what the West sees is that they cannot get their cheap minerals from Africa anymore.
Yeah.
And so they don't understand that it's possible to have an equal relationship with an African nation because they've never had it. And so it's like
pay for materials, give them a fair price for the materials.
Yeah, but then what about the emerald profits from your emerald mines?
Yeah, the
you don't really need emeralds.
And like a bunch of like these no-name liberals, like just the the quote-unquote NPCs running around, like they sort of give themselves away when they talk about Chinese imperialism, and they also say colonialism in Africa, because like basically what they're saying is that they see trade as imperialism and colonialism, because to them that's exactly what it is.
Well,
there's no other option.
Exactly. So yeah, and it's just well, another thing, like for example, France is really upset that Russia is not letting them okay, so France just kind of got kicked out of Mali, and Chad nationalized some French properties, and because like the certain factions of the Russian military have been like protecting the leaders there from coups, usually orchestrated by France. But then like it seems like oh my God, Macron once, oh my God, he called what Russia did in Africa imperialism. What did he say? And I'm like, you guys, CFA Frank, you MFR.
Yeah, like they don't get to talk.
And you have to see if, yeah, France literally has 50% of all African, 14 countries in its bank account that Africans can't touch.
Yep.
Wait a second. I think I just read, and I'm sorry, I should look it up before I mention it, but that like France is telling those colonies, like, we can't support you like right now or something.
Well, no, that's not right. Okay. The colonies are saying get the F out.
No, they're kicking France out. Okay.
Yeah, France literally goes there and has the 14 and then has like mineral rights and stuff like that. But in order to like save face, they're saying we're not going to give you military support, which is not like they wanted. It's not like you need the French military. Like, Matt, remember what they did in Guinea, where they would pull out the copper wires and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just trying to save face by like making the story seem like, oh well, France is just not going to support the colonies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but by support you mean like doing like what is the French military doing? French military actually rapes children in exchange for cookies and stuff like. It's really gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I forgot what I was saying.
I don't know. We're talking about France.
Oh, we were talking about the French. So this is where. Okay, so now you see the. Okay, this is where I get my turns out. So now there are French socialists, or like even the French unions and workers, and you see all these protests, and Americans are like, oh, look at France. But these French workers who are protesting are not protesting to make sure that there are no more CFA franc robberies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They are protesting for status quo, like.
Yeah.
As Lenin explained about these socialists, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up like the protests are more for austerity. Like they're not for.
Yeah, nobody fights for their
everybody.
status quo the way the French fight for their status quo.
Exactly. So it's not. And Macron sees. Yeah, exactly.
Though they did just recently storm a BlackRock holding company,
Where?
something like that in France.
Wow. I mean, you gotta think too that there are groups out there because, like, you know, if there was big protests going on here, you're always going to get a faction of the communists and socialists out there doing their thing. You know.
Yeah.
What I mean?
No, but French communists and socialists are much more competent than the American counterparts for all their flaws.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you definitely have a good anti-imperial. I mean, there are some anti-imperial factions. So there's a lot of. I'm not saying that all of the French protesters are doing that, but the great amount of like protests that like bring out the yellow vests and all these other people in France are always for like status quo.
Yeah, it's not, and like even in like Canada, the trucker, you know, that whole thing was like.
Yeah.
You know, it's these protests, and you see them, and you want to like, oh, it's people protesting, but like it's also, okay, are they like even protesting for things that will? What is making that droppy noise? Is that your?
Oh, my phone! I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Because I'm not looking at the screen because I was looking.
I'm muting my phone now. Apologies.
But yeah. So it's like. You want to support them because they are protesting against their government, but they're not like. There's so many better issues that they could.
Yeah. I mean, there are 10,000 better issues that they could do rather than no. But again, it's like. But in Kenya, the Kenyan Communist Party, they're really lit and they really know what they're doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on it.
Yeah.
Like Booker Omole, I was impressed. He said was he a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer, or does it matter?
I don't remember.
Well, a civil engineer works for the government, like, and they build like infrastructure. And
okay,
stuff.
civil. I think he was but then he became the
like
head
you
of the
could be a mechanical engineer that's also a civil engineer.
Well, he was an engineer. He's a really smart engineer who knows how to do things, and then he became the head of the Communist Party, and he knows theory like so well. It's impressive.
Mechanical engineers are kind of
car person, right?
Well, they kind of do.
No, they build machines.
They build machines.
They build that. Like my father's a mechanical engineer, and I took mechanical engineering. But they like but they can also kind of go into almost every aspect of engineering.
Okay,
because
so
of their training.
Barber says civil engineers save more lives than doctors because they're the ones who build bridges, and if they build good bridges, right? Is that why?
Well, I mean, it's everything. It's roads, it's bridges.
Okay.
Yeah.
They do all that stuff. They do all that planning and stuff like that. Like we basically should have a civil engineer instead of Buttigieg.
You're right. I wonder. You're absolutely yeah. What the hell does he know about building infrastructure?
So yeah, I mean that you get into that stuff, but yeah. So anything else on France, or do you want to do the second piece, or
do we want to do anything else about France?
No, I'm done with France personally.
Okay, we'll
I'm
do.
in common France
Let's
for
take a
mine.
quick 1 minute break.
All right.
Let's see. Okay. So this one is. Can you share this with the chat? This is the draft resolution of the TKRKPB of the Central Committee of the Russian Social Democratic Party Bolsheviks, something like that, right?
Yeah, CPSUB.
Okay.
The RCPB. Whatever.
Okay. On the Soviet rule in Ukraine.
Yes. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I can read it too because I'm English and Russian.
You're English and Russian?
See, I have in this phone I have English, in this phone I have it in Russian.
I was going to say I thought you were Indian, but
No. I am Indian. But you know the weirdest thing is that people the most mistaken identity here in Russia is that people always ask, "Are you Armenian?"
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. The CC, the Central Committee of the Russian Communist Party Bolsheviks, having discussed the questions of relations with the working people of the. Oh boy. Okay. There's no "the" in Russian, so this is obviously a bad translation. Just so we know.
Okay.
Of the Ukraine now being okay, hold on. So actually can I take a quick history thing? Okay, so Denikin was like was a white army member. A white army is like exactly like the KKK. They did horrible things, like they cut off peasants' breasts, like they did everything the KKK did basically. And he was like paid by the West allies, France, US, UK, to balkanize that area, which is back then there was before it was called Nova Russia, Mala Russia. It was I know. Okay, so there was Belarusia, Mala Russia, and Nova Russia, which is White Russia as in Belarus, New Russia, which is the Donbass area, and Little Russia, which is the other parts of modern day Ukraine. Are you there, Janet?
yes.
Okay. So so then they wanted to make the Novorossiya and Malorossiya into its own country by like having the psycho Denikin, and thank God he got beaten by the Bolsheviks. Okay.
So where did "the" in the Ukraine came from? Since it wasn't a Russian word.
Well, it used to just be like a territory, and
Wait, hold on. Let me explain. Okay, so the opposite of center. So if you want to say in the like the boonies, so the Russian word for center is centra. The opposite of that is Ukraina,
which means borderland. So borderlands is what
yeah,
they. Okay,
exactly.
Right.
And Ukraine, and then they want and so that's where I guess.
So now that Ukraine is its own country, it does not like the term "the Ukraine."
Yeah,
okay.
But it's Russian does not have the word "the" in it, so.
Yeah, that's a Western thing, but
yeah,
it's the way that we called it. So, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Having discussed the question of relations with the working people of Ukraine now being liberated from the temporary conquest of Denikin's bands, is pursuing persistently the principle of self-determination of nations, and it deems essential to again affirm the RCP holds consistently the view that the independence of the Ukrainian Socialist Republic be recognized. Sorry. This is like the one, maybe. Do you think Lenin made a mistake here or no?
The whole thing with Ukrainian nationalism is that it's essentially reactionary in character, and the whole point with that the Bolsheviks wanted to do, like in regards to this, was develop Ukraine as a nation strictly under the auspices of the Bolshevik Party.
Okay, I see now. No, so, well, that's the funny thing is Ukrainian, like the country of Ukraine now acts psycho against Stalin, but there would be no Ukraine if it weren't for Stalin.
Exactly. But the deal was that it was going to be there's another Lenin piece where like he explains it like pretty explicitly that like Ukraine is a nation, its people are a nation, and it needs to be developed under the CPSUB because like they're like low-key reactionary monsters basically.
No, yeah, I mean they're not low-key monsters, like they are horrible monsters because like they literally proper German Nazis were horrified by how psycho these people were.
Well, that was Noctegal and all that. That wasn't like the average person.
No, that was not the average person. No, that was the. But Denikin is also I mean, Denikin's army is not that more civilized than the Noctegal.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But Ukrainian nationalism has like a serious like reactionary problem, basically.
Okay. The Russian Communist Party will work to establish federal relations between the RSFSR and the Ukrainian SSR, basing itself on the decisions of the All Russia Central Executive Committee, June 1st, 1919, and the Ukrainian Executive Committee of May 18th, 1919. Attached resolution. In view of the fact that Ukrainian culture, language, school has been suppressed for centuries by Russian Tsarism and the exploiting classes, the CCRSP makes it incumbent upon all party members to use every means to help remove all barriers in the way of free development of Ukrainian language and culture. And the ironic thing is, nowadays it's 100% the opposite in Ukraine. Like when I went to Lugansk, I saw this big sign where it says, "Don't be scared. You can speak in Russian now."
Yeah.
So sometimes apparently the Ukrainian Nazis would like make. There's a word I forgot which word. It's hard for a Russian to pronounce because they can't get that.
It's for a loaf of bread.
Yeah, so they can't get the S and the S correct. And then they'll often make them, and then they beat up people who pronounce that word wrong.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading a story about that like not too long ago. That like it was basically two Ukrainian expats in New York, and they like did that test, and like they ended up like stabbing each other because they thought the other was Russian, but they were both Ukrainian.
Yeah. If you're not good with the Ukrainian language. So I understand. But okay, so I guess it's not a mistake because, yes, the development of the Ukrainian language and culture is important. Since many centuries of oppression have given rise to nationalist tendencies among the backward sections of the population, the RSP members must exercise the greatest caution in the respect of those tendencies and must oppose them with words of comradely explanation concerning the identity of interests of working people of the Ukraine and Russia. RCP members on Ukrainian territory must put into practice the right of the working people to study in the Ukrainian language and to speak their native language in all Soviet institutions. They must in every way counteract attempts at Russification that push the Ukrainian language into the backward and must convert the language into an instrument for the communist education of the working people. Steps must be taken immediately to ensure that in all Soviet institutions there are sufficient Ukrainian-speaking employees and that in future all employees are able to speak Ukrainian. And this is like completely 100% opposite of the lies that you hear from the Ukrainian fascists these days about how they were so oppressed. They were like oppressed under Soviet, because really, and they're actually literally doing the opposite with Russia.
Yeah, they were majorly oppressed under the Tsar, and then they were given, their culture, like allow their culture back.
Well, basically, what they're complaining about, they were oppressed because they weren't allowed to engage in the true
Ethnic
Ukrainian
cleansing?
nationalism of screaming about unity while you beat a Russian to death in the street.
Or a Jew.
Yeah, or well, that's what Russian means, quote unquote, in Ukraine. Is
yeah. Oh, you're right. So in one of the Ukrainian churches, they were actually mock beating up like some random Jewish. Yeah, it's very gross and disturbing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is essential to ensure the closest contact between Soviet institutions and the native peasant population of the country, for which purpose it must be made the rule even when in the earliest stages that when revolutionary communities and Soviets are being established, laboring peasants must have a majority in them, with poor peasants exercising a decisive influence. That makes sense. Since the population of Ukraine is predominantly peasant to an even greater extent than that of Russia, it is a task of the Soviet government in Ukraine to win the confidence not only of poor peasants, but also the very broad sections of the middle peasantry, whose real interests link them very close to Soviet power. In particular, while retaining the food policy in principle, the state procurement of grain at fixed prices, the method of its application must be changed. The immediate purpose of the food policy in Ukraine must be requisitioning of the grain, surpluses to the strictly limited extent necessary to supply the Ukrainian rural poor, the workers, and the Red Army. When requisitioning surpluses, special attention must be paid to the interests of the middle peasants, who must be carefully distinguished from the kulak elements. It is essential to expose the Ukrainian peasantries the counter-revolutionary demagoguery that tries to impress upon them that the purpose of the Soviet Russia is to channel grain and other food products from Ukraine into Russia. Oh my God, okay. It must be made incumbent on all agents of the central authorities, all party to draw the poor and middle peasantry extensively into the work of the government. For the same purpose, the establishment of real power of the working people, measures must be immediately taken to prevent the Soviet institutions being flooded with Ukrainian urban petty bourgeoisie who have no conception of the living conditions of the masses, who frequently masquerade as communists, like Trotsky. A condition for the admission of such elements in the party and into must be preliminary practical verification of their competence and their loyalties to the interests of the working people, primarily at the front in the ranks of the army. Everywhere, under all circumstances, such elements must be placed under strict class control of the proletariat. We know from experience that due to a large number of unorganized state of the poor, the large number of weapons in the hand of the Ukrainian rural population is inevitably being concentrated in the hands of the kulaks and counter-revolutionaries, which actually leads to the domination of kulak bandits instead of the dictatorship of the working people. In view of this, primary task in Soviet Ukraine is to withdraw all weapons and to concentrate them in the hands of the Red Army and working peasants. Sounds great.
Yeah, there you go.
In the same way, the land policy must be effected with special attention paid to the farming of the poor and the middle peasantries. The tasks of the land policy in Ukraine are complete abolition of the landed proprietorship re-established by Denikin and transfer of the landed estates to the peasants possessing little or no land. State farms to be organized in strictly limited numbers and limited size in each case in conformity with the interests of the surrounding peasantry. In organizing the peasantries in communes or tells, the party policy must be strictly adhered to, which in respect does not permit any coercion, leaving it to the peasants. Oh, okay, by the way, this is really important. I'll explain this. Leaving it to the peasants to decide freely for themselves and penalizing all attempts at introducing the principle of coercion. Regarding it as beyond dispute for every communist and for every politically conscious worker, the closest alliance of the Soviet Republic in their struggle against menacing force of world imperialism is essential. The RCP maintains that the form of alliance must be determined by the Ukrainian workers and laboring peasants themselves. So this is the thing he said about no coercion inside communists and the peasants get to decide is very important, because after the Holodomor, where the kulaks just killed all the cattle and murdered everyone in the village, the Soviet government said, well, you have to go. Like, they're like, oh, please, we need you kicked us out of our farm, but we need a farm. And then they were like, well, you have to go ask the communes, and if they want to let you in, well, they can. But if they don't, we're not going to force them. And so, of course, if you are like a kulak and say, hey, I just committed a famine and killed the whole village, will you accept me into your commune? They're going to say F no, right?
Yeah, not a popular plan.
Yeah, so this happened, and then finally the Soviet government was like, well, if you really want to farm, there's some land over there in Siberia you could go farm in. You just have to go there and build your own whatever crap you need there. And so that's where you get the big rumor that Stalin deported all of us to Siberia.
But they were given land.
In Siberia.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's because the peasants, okay, so if you're like an aristocrat, you can't believe that the peasants have their own mind. So to them, they're like, the Jews must have secretly influenced the peasant to not let us in, as opposed to, we just committed genocide. That's probably why they don't want us in.
So
right?
basically, it's like when there's like, the fishery or the oil up in Alaska, and people go up there to work because that's where they can find work and they can get land up there. And it's basically the same thing we do here. Like, I mean, that's all they were doing is like, if you don't have land there to farm on, then we have land here for you to farm on.
Well, they lost their land because they committed genocide.
Yeah, I mean, well, they were hoarding grain and stuff.
No. They burnt all the grain. They created and then killed all the draft animals and sabotaged all the tractors.
Yeah, there's a line from a witness to the whole thing that like he talks of the liquidation of the horses as a class.
Yeah.
It's really kind of dark.
Yeah. It did, like, I mean, and then they like killed a bunch of peasants. It was just horrible things. So,
yeah.
But then the thing is that, the idea was that the peasants get to decide whether they want to let this genocidal maniac inside their new commune. And most of those peasant communes were like, we don't want you here.
Yeah, not a popular plan. Go figure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be very happy either. If like it was basically, they had to go and ask them, hey, I committed genocide. So they were like, well, and then they would ask, so why don't you have a commune? And they're like, well, we just committed genocide. I don't know, whatever. And that's where
we killed all the people that would have been in the commune.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we don't have a commune anymore
because we wanted to like get 20 cents more on grain speculation in the stock market in France.
It's just not. I mean, it's like everything. Like I feel so like I just couldn't even like deal. Like I had a troll like doing this whole, China and their famine and then Ukraine.
China's famine was created by the United Kingdom because during the Opium Wars, they were forced to grow opium instead of rice.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the Four Pest campaign was like arguably one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. Like I don't understand like who got this idea that like, okay, so we see the birds eating the grain, so let's get rid of the birds as if the birds don't eat the fucking plagues of locusts that will beset us. This is like ecology 101. Who the fuck was in charge?
I don't know, but so that happened. But still, the reason why China was not food self-sufficient and then the West blockaded them is because of the opium trade.
Yeah.
So it's always this way, where the West blockades a non-food, colonialism removes food self-sufficiency. Yeah. Then the West blockades the non-food, and you can't just magically make yourself like grow like 10 billion, like enough wheat to feed 1 billion people or 300 million back then. Like that, right? Rice, wheat.
It was 500 million back then.
Okay, 500 million like that. Like you need to go through a few cycles, and the West.
It takes like about a generation. Like
and then that's when the West blockades all incoming grain in order. They hope that they will help them overthrow socialism. So it's always. It's like so irritating. I mean, there was a Wall Street Journal article about 2 years ago where they admitted that the DPRK can never, ever, ever be food self-sufficient, but we should still blockade them because I forgot why.
And that's not actually true. They're making some insane advances in hydroponic technology out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it because like it's like considered a loss here that we haven't been able to starve them into extinction. But
Yeah.
It's
like,
but it's like I mean this is how we always play it, and then you have people in the West sitting there thinking like, oh no, but you know these are the countries that are bad, but it's like did you dig down into why that happened?
Yeah. Like one thing, for example, they'll talk about how North Korea probably killed a few Nazis or a few Japanese collaborate, whatever it is. But in South Korea, they literally had a program where they would kidnap little girls to be. I don't know if we should use the word prostitutes here, but what should
sex slaves.
for American. It was literally a government program. And they don't talk about this, or the fact that the government, like right before the Seoul Olympics in 1988, engaged in like mass pogroms of homeless people in Seoul.
Yeah. And it was my own fault that I get into this with because I didn't realize I was commenting on that. What's his name? Sarsgaard, whatever.
Well, who is that?
I don't know. One of the alt-right people.
Yeah.
No idea.
SARS of Arcade, or I don't know what he is.
Oh, Sargon.
Sargon of Arcadia?
Yeah, Sargon
Carl
of
Benjamin.
Whatever. So it was
let's call him his real name, Carl Benjamin.
Oh, okay. So then he, you know, so it wasn't him responding, but it was one of his guys, and it was like the person's like admitting that sanctions hurt, and I mean they admit certain things, and it's like they almost can get it, and then they just can't.
Well, the thing is, like, they support the genocide. That's the thing.
Yeah, they support the genocide.
I forgot Sargon was still around. I did too, apparently, because I wouldn't normally comment on one of his tweets. So somehow it came up in my feed, and I don't always pay attention to who I'm commenting to, and then because I just see something and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So then I get myself in trouble because I don't pay attention. But yeah, someone's like, "Oh, I would never have commented on that guy's tweet."
Yeah. I've there's too many, like the alt-right figures are so transient in that, like, there's one that's big, you hear about one for like a while and then they just drop off.
Yeah.
Like, for a while we heard about, I forgot, for a while we would hear a lot about Sam Harris, and then he got replaced by Jordan Peterson, and then is Jordan Peterson still the guy, or is he going to get replaced?
Who cares?
Who cares? But yeah,
I don't follow them at all.
No,
they all say the exact same thing. So
yeah, they all say the exact same thing, like clean your room. Oh, so, yeah.
It's just it's all just about whose turn it is to say the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah, but that's why they always go in cycles. They don't have you always see like one big guy and then they drop off, and right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's bad. So
what's bad?
No, just how they churn them out. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like the left, like the only people that really get big kind of teeter on that whole being liberal thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like, you know, the right has like this, it churns out people constantly.
Peterson is always on my feed. I want to shoot the algorithm. I'm sorry about this. This really sucks.
Yeah.
It really does, because it's just, I mean, the guy is like, I mean, especially like YouTube. If you go on YouTube, like my father likes to now because he has YouTube on the TV, so he puts it on.
Oh, you should have him put our channel on so we can get views.
Yeah, no, I'll do that. I mean, well, he's probably in on my account anyways, but I mean,
okay.
I start watching stuff, and then like, sure enough, like I'll hear like something get into Peterson, and I'm like, Dad, why is Peterson on again? He's like, I don't know. I was just he doesn't
don't. March.
He likes takedown videos of Ben.
Ben. That's easy. Anyone can do a takedown video because Ben is just wrong and he just speaks in a fast tone with like a high pitched nasal voice. So anytime you listen to him, like when he said that, remember like something about underwater homes?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Let's see if I can find it. Janet, can you talk while I find the underwater homes?
What are you talking about? Oh, so I don't know. What do you want me to talk about? how you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what's going on.
Okay.
Well, Peterson talks in a high pitched weird voice too. I don't know, like the right wing are all like, "Oh, we're manly men," but like everyone they listen to are like these high pitched squealer kind of Kermit the Frog.
Okay, I found.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like YouTube pushes Peterson to like it's just crazy, like how much he's pushed on that channel.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And, like I was watching some of
Here is
Russell.
Ben Shapiro's underwater
levels
house.
around the world rise by let's say 5 feet over the next 100 years, say 10 feet by the next 100 years, and it puts all the low-lying areas on the coast underwater, right? Which let's say all of that happens. You think that people aren't going to just sell their homes and move?
Yeah, like
They're just gonna sell
What home? What homes?
your underwater
They,
homes.
they already don't have homes. Like,
the homes are underneath. Yeah,
that's how far we've devolved. Like since you said that stupid thing, we're on a whole new level of why that's fucking moronic.
Underwater, yeah, but that was I do okay. So yeah, Ben Shapiro's underwater homes. That was like so. It's not that hard to debunk Ben Shapiro because he's really stupid.
Yeah,
It's the same thing as growing a tomato and selling a tomato for $1 and then just doing that like a million times over. Like that was the advice a couple of years ago from someone about growing tomatoes and making money off of growing tomatoes. There's so many tomatoes people are gonna buy, and there's
Well, no, I mean, but yeah, I mean that is a theory. That's how tomato growing works. You grow tomatoes and sell them, and then you
yeah, but you're not going to become a billionaire off of growing
tomato. No,
tomatoes.
you're gonna. You can if you grow enough. Yeah, you're not gonna become a billionaire. Nope. But yeah, Ben Shapiro, like I said, it's not that hard because he's just wrong all the time.
yeah, pretty much.
And yeah. Oh God, I don't want to do this, but we might have to. We might have to debunk Jimmy Dore. Jesus Christ.
We might have to what?
Debunk Jimmy Dore.
What's he doing?
Oh yeah.
Oh, he like made this stupid video about how America is authoritarian like Mao's China and Stalin. And oh my God, I don't.
Oh yeah.
I wish.
I saw.
I don't want to do that video because it's. Oh
Yeah,
God,
have you? There was that meme going around. It was like the yes Chad thing, but it was like so the Chad was supposed to be Stalin, and it was Paul Robeson talking like, "Wow, nobody here is racist in the USSR," and then Stalin like looks and says, "They better fucking not be."
Well, yeah. So I've actually, I mean, one of my favorite books, fairy tales from the USSR, is Mr. Twister. Mr. Twister
Oh yeah,
is
that's a
like
good
an
one.
American senator who goes on a trip to Leningrad, and then he inside a hotel he sees a black man, and he doesn't want to be in the same hotel as a black man. But then the doorman in the hotel realizes that this guy is a racist boss, and then he calls all the other hotels in Leningrad and says, "Wait, there's this racist piece of shit who's gonna come and ask for a hotel room. You have to tell them there's no room." And then at the moral of the story is that there is in Leningrad you have room for Indians, Chinese, Sudanese, and Malays, but there is no room for racists.
There you go.
And that's what the world should be. No room for racists.
Imagine.
Exactly. So and then Black Bolshevik talks about how this guy says something racist to him, and so then he apologizes 5 minutes later. But then the passengers in the bus won't accept his apology, and then they drag him to the police station, and the police says that he was a drunk, says that he has to stay in jail for being racist, and so this guy's feeling pretty bad himself because he kind of feels he accepted the apology, but the passengers in this bus would not let him accept the apology from the racist.
Cool.
Yeah, they send him to jail.
So Cobra's saying, I don't know why these kids like Jimmy Dore.
I don't mind Jimmy Dore. I just don't want to deal with Jimmy Dore ever. It's like I really do not. Everything I know about Jimmy Dore is against my will.
Yeah,
I don't want to know more.
Same here. I've never seen a show, never seen a clip of it.
But the whole thing of the appeal, I know this because it's it's that whole. I don't know. It is that individualism.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my battery's done. Let me change batteries. Okay.
Okay. It is that individualism. It is just like kind of a machismo. I don't know. Like, I mean, not like guys feel like they need to still have.
Isn't he just like an annoying debate bro dipshit? Like, I mean, I don't know. All white people look alike.
I don't know. He doesn't really do debates. I mean, he's not like a.
Oh, he's not in that. He's not in that crowd.
No, he was. I mean, he was a comedian. He was. I mean, he's good on certain things. He just doesn't have the
Hello.
social.
Hi,
I mean, when we had his wife in here. Uh-oh. You got to turn off me talking.
Okay, sorry. Okay, this battery's gonna die soon too. Apologies. We might have to. Go ahead.
I was. Oh, now I'm not. Okay.
Well, I mean, also we've been going for like 2 hours, so I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're close. We're close.
You might be you're getting the red light there. So.
Yeah, I might get another battery too.
Yeah, no, but when we had his wife on, and like, so they're not like, there's no communism there. There's no socialism. There's no knowing of that leftist theory.
Yeah, he's just.
Even she said, like, she goes by liberal, like miserable liberal.
Oh yeah.
And she says to us, "Oh, I was thinking I should change that." And then we were like, "Well, yeah, you shouldn't use liberal." And then
you
like,
shouldn't. You simply shouldn't be a liberal.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like, not having. Theory. That's the problem I have with Jimmy Dore. I don't have a problem with anything. I mean, I don't agree with him on everything, but I don't have a problem with him in particular, except for the fact that there's no discipline there. There's no
theory. Like, for example, one thing you should be able to extrapolate is how the press treats Jeremy Corbyn and Bernie Sanders, and then realize that when you are a winner like Stalin, unlike losers, they're gonna call you a genocidal maniac, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, Dave Soroda blocked me for that too. He was like, said something like, "You don't need to hand it to Stalin," and I'm like, "Yes, you do."
Yeah, you literally do.
You have to.
I like the fact that I don't speak German right now. Sorry.
No, it's not the language. You don't like the fact that you are genocided.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically, it's like they can see a lot of splatters. Like, you can see that the press unfairly treating Jeremy Corbyn and Bernie Sanders, but then not understanding that any leftist anyone who even like Jeremy Standard type of mild, like, okay, even Bernie Sanders, whatever, is like mildly demonized. And what you'll have to realize,
Bernie Sanders is like slightly to the right of Dwight Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Politically. So.
Exactly. So when you see that, you should understand that, well, anyone who, like, the idea is not understanding power structures. So then you should realize that, oh, look, the New York Times thought Mussolini was the new hope. So this means that the bourgeoisie, well, no, Stalin, because that is just gross to compare Stalin with Obama.
Yeah, but he's better than Obama on any issue, which
Obviously, because Stalin had the dictatorship of the proletariat, while Obama was like the neoliberal held president of like the imperial bourgeoisie dictatorship. Yeah.
But Nomo has it right. Like, if you're heading down the right path, you're not going, like, did I watch TYT for a bit? Yeah, I watched TYT for a bit. But, like, I surpassed that. I went past that. Well,
sometimes I watch Kyle Kulinski because he basically reads the article for you.
I mean, and it's not bad to even, like, you still kind of want to see what they're talking about and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, it's not bad to watch any of these. Like, someone asked, I was on a live TikTok and someone asked about Hassan Piker, and I was just like, I don't like Hassan Piker because he
has some strange opinions about the Armenian genocide.
Yeah. And he, like, to think that, like, buying $1 million home, like, to stick it to the right wingers, like, that's not how, like, he was saying, like, when he was,
he also thinks that people who talk about the Armenian genocide are Islamophobic, which is just psycho.
Yeah, especially since I know a bunch of Armenians, so.
And it's not.
Yeah, welcome to Massachusetts.
and
Well,
actually
and-
Armenian in Russia.
yeah, no, but the thing
Yeah.
about it is that most Christians don't actually support Armenians because they look too Muslim-y or they're too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 There's a big I worked with a woman who was Armenian and I'm friends with her. I'm still friends with her, but she there's a big section of Boston. There's an Armenian section of Boston, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
we've always like 2 houses down, we've always had Armenians living there. So
Yeah.
it's
But I'm just saying, I'm
There's
very
a there's a
uncomfortable
big
with
there's
his
a big
opinions on-
march like for recognition of the Armenian genocide like every fucking year out here.
Yeah.
So.
yeah. So I mean, it's like the whole thing with and also like changing a name. It's not like when they came out the Cenk and was like, you need to change that name, and Cenk's like, oh, but it means this and da 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 da.
Well, okay, their argument, which I have Anna Kasparian, who's the Candace Owens of Armenia, her argument is that while it's kind of like if you name your show Hitler Youth, and you're like, we're actually talking about the time Hitler Youth wasn't doing Hitler-y stuff. Yeah. That's basically her entire argument about why, and then she's like, it's bad branding, and I'm like, wait a minute, if you're he's like, it's hard to rebrand, and like, so if you name your show Hitler Youth and you're talking about it's good for branding, I mean, come on,
it's bad branding to use it, and that's the whole thing. You should be able and willing to change any of that.
Yeah, change your branding. Like, if suppose you were
oh my god, I'm growing as a person. I didn't realize this meant that.
Yeah, so now,
except they did realize they meant that. He knows exactly what.
Yeah,
it means,
he wants to
he's an
mean it.
Armenian. He's an Armenian genocide denier. That's his thing. He's an asshole.
Exactly. No. He actually once tried to argue that the Armenian Student Association shouldn't get like $500 when he was in UPenn, and it's like they asked for so little. Yeah, they could name it to change it to something like the Ankara Report or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They could call it Cenk and Anna. I don't care.
Like I said, Ankara Report.
They could call it this fucking show that doesn't matter anymore because it's not 2007.
Yeah. Anything is literally. I mean, if they wanted to keep their Turkish, the doner kebabs or whatever.
Yeah,
like they could still commemorate their Turkish heritage or whatever he wants to do.
Yes.
Oh, but yeah, Istanbul.
There you go.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, it's a completely fucked name for a show.
Yeah.
You ever wants to call it Cenk yogurt?
Cenk yogurt, sure.
It's Cenk yogurt.
Yeah. And I mean, the yelling twosome, whatever you want. I mean, and MSNBC Light, MSNBC for I don't know.
It's MSNBC for people who like go to class in the room with a turtle on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not that hard. It wouldn't be that hard for them to change it.
Not at all.
Wouldn't. And for when it was, and I remember it was so funny because I didn't even realize that until it was like 2015. Someone told me, like, what I didn't know what the Young Turks. I didn't know what that meaning was until 2015, and then that's when I was kind of like, all right,
that's gross. Turkish word salad. I like that.
Turkish word salad.
Turkish tabulis. Turkish word tabuli.
Yeah.
That would work. But
I know. Yeah, and well, once 2016 happened, I have no idea. Okay, so and then their knowledge of history is so bad. I remember watching this 2014 thing where Cenk really did not understand about Ukraine and Nazis, and he thought it was a Russian conspiracy. And it's like,
you sure he still doesn't think it's a Russian conspiracy because
all the Hitler tattoo. I mean, it's like Ukraine is known for Nazis, like France is known for wine.
Yeah, but I think they still take the side of Ukraine. Then.
Yeah, no, they are horrible nowadays. Like they don't. I mean, even the most basic investigation takes. I don't know what to say. Even the Even the Uyghur report. Sure. Anything is better. Okay. Hold on. Okay.
She's up. She's running.
There you go.
We get so much money.
Yeah. So the Uyghur report, or literally anything is better than a TYT, the Young Turks.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
With that, I will say next week we'll have some fun. Svobodu narodu smrti fašizmu.
Slava Lenino.
Bye, everyone.